All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Millennial Trades. I know some people said that handle is like, it sounds strange to them or whatever, but I mean, that's cool. It's just my new handle, so deal with it. In this video, obviously for Halloween, right, I thought it would be appropriate to come on here for a few minutes and maybe placate to some demons. And what I want to discuss in this video is kind of a commentary on Halloween, maybe a movie review, and just sort of my personal experience this week, or I guess the whole month, celebrating, placating to the dark side. And as an Orthodox Christian, you know, I've really struggled with this because I've been told, I guess, one thing at my church, and then I've had other influences online, and then I've had my own experience, and I guess I'm trying to address all that in a video and deal with all of it and sort of conceptualize all of it. So, that being said, let's go ahead and talk about, I guess, my experience today. I had a great Halloween, spent most of it with my brother, and we went to a cozy little bookstore. I think it's called AFK Books. You know, it's just a really cool store. It's got vinyl, it's got role-playing games, it's got comic books, it's got fantasy and history, and it even has like really old medical textbooks that I guess you could potentially spend hundreds of dollars buying. It's got really antique stuff in there. It's very, very cool. And they have a couple locations here in Norfolk, but that's basically how we spent Halloween. And then I watched a movie by myself because I couldn't get anybody else to watch it with me. Everybody was either working on schoolwork, whatever the case was. So I spent the rest of the evening watching horror movies. Well, I've spent the last couple of nights watching horror movies, and specifically horror movies that I've been wanting to watch for a while now, and I'll explain why. But as far as placating to demons and what Halloween potentially represents to all of us as Americans, as people in the West, there's an excellent video commentary by a channel called the Symbolic World, and I think his name is Jonathan Prego. It might be Prejou. I can't pronounce a lot of these French-Canadian names, but he's an Orthodox Christian, which is the main reason I guess I subscribed or ever started following this channel. And it's a lot of esoteric topics, right? The channel name is the Symbolic World, but he released this video 3 years ago now about the symbolism behind Halloween. You know, what Halloween really represents. I recommend everybody watch it. I'm actually going to leave a link in the description down below of this video so you guys can check that out. But in this Symbolic World video, you know, Jonathan talks about how the roots of Halloween or the history of Halloween, a lot of people will mistake that for the symbolism or what Halloween actually means. And the whole video is basically about placating to demons. In fact, in the Bible, it talks about this, how if you do not placate to the demons, you may be completely overtaken by them. And Jonathan, from the Symbolic World, you know, discusses this idea behind trick or treat and how the kids dress up as like the monsters and the goblins and the demons of old, you know, these sort of old, scary creatures of darkness that represent maybe death in the old world. And, you know, these characters manifest themselves as the children's Halloween costumes, you know, and even adults, right? I mean, I'm placating to demons right here, right? If you celebrate Halloween, that's essentially what you're doing. But the reason the whole trick-or-treat narrative exists is because, you know, it's either, even though in theory, right, you may get tricked if you don't give these demons or these little ghosts or whatever they are that come to your door, if you don't give them a treat, you may get tricked on. In theory, that's what it is. Even though nowadays it's probably not practiced much. But you know, it's the idea, it's the representation, the symbolism behind, you know, sort of placating to your demons for the moment to ward them off in the long run, right? If you give them a treat, if you give into that drink, if you give into a cigarette, if you give into sexual immorality, whatever it is, that hopefully the demon will go away in the long term, right? So this is what Jonathan Prejeau, I feel so bad. I can't actually pronounce his last name, but in this video that I'm going to link in the description below, which I think everybody should watch. This is kind of what he illustrates. So a very interesting video. I won't go too much more into it, but you know, the fact that he's an Orthodox Christian and he's not promoting Halloween, right? I'm not necessarily promoting Halloween either. I'm not telling you what to celebrate or what not to celebrate, you know, but I have this sort of, I guess you could say as a Greek Orthodox, right? At least 50% genetically Greek on my father's side. Having this sort of more Anglo-Norman, possibly like Frankish French, Northern European side on my mother's side, and a lot of the stuff that I guess she was involved with, you know, before I was born and as I was growing up, there is still sort of that, I don't know if you'd call it heathenism or you know, the Gentile in me. I still feel really in touch with it for some reason, and Halloween is like one of the ways I think that maybe aspect of my heritage or culture could potentially express itself. So without sounding too heretical here, you know, and guys, I'm like half a bottle of Jaeger in. I just feel like making this video and talking to you guys and hanging out. I'm feeling relaxed. I'm feeling like I can actually come on here and just, you know, put it out there and tell you guys, you know, what I'm thinking. So placating to demons, one way that really manifests in my life personally, and I think a lot of people relate to this, is watching horror movies. You know, as a Christian, I think we struggle with this. You know, we believe in Christ. We try to live in Christ, even though we probably fail every single day. You know, we try our best. We're attending church. We're praying every day. We're trying to keep a solar schedule, all this kind of like really good thing, good like lifestyle choices, whatever it is. We're trying to live in the light, right? But then, you know, around Halloween time or even throughout the year, we enjoy horror movies. Like some of my favorite horror movies are Insidious, The Shining, The Rite, The Descent, you know, Hereditary. There's so many amazing horror movies out there. And a horror movie that I really identified with as I was in my like mid-20s was a movie called Contracted. And a lot of people, you know, might remember this movie. This girl basically catches some sort of demonic STD and she turns into a zombie. That's essentially what the movie is about. But it's very gross and it's very weird. So, you know, I'm a big fan of that movie. And at the time, I was really struggling with drug addiction, right? I was absolutely placating to demons at the time. And I just kept feeding the demons. And they just sort of overtook me. And I was about like 24, maybe 25. This is probably like 9 or 10 years ago. And this is when I found that movie Contracted. And I watched it like several times. And I was completely shocked by it. And at the same time, I'm like, you know, I'm doing dope and my whole life is just messed up. And for whatever reason, this movie I really identified with, because the movie is more than just about a girl turning into a zombie. It's about the sort of, it could be about a lot of things. It could be about, you know, the millennial generation. It could be about some of the plights and the struggles of the millennial generation. It could be about the narcissism of the, you know, more modern generations that grow up with cell phones and social media and all this kind of thing. It obviously takes place in LA. And I won't spoil the movie too much, but this movie Contracted is, you know, it's sort of an ode to, in a lot of ways, people who are really struggling with stuff that's like just sort of deep down that they just, it's hard to, it's like a spiritual condition that this movie really taps into. It's not just about zombies. You know, you could apply it to so many things: mental illness, drug addiction. This movie, Contracted, is horrifying, and it's not the movie that I actually want to review in this video. And I know this is getting long-winded now, but you know, I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me on Halloween, because I just want to make a Halloween video. Jay Dyer style, even though he blocked me on Twitter. I don't know what that was all about, but anyways, so the actress in this movie, Najara Townsend, I don't think she's been in a lot of other things other than horror movies. I watched another one that was called what the hell was the movie called that I watched last night that I posted? Oh, Wolf Mother. Very interesting movie, very Mulholland Drive-ish. I don't know why I couldn't think of the title, because I'm half drunk, honestly. But Wolf Mother was a good movie. It was very, very B, like extremely B. Bad acting, bad lines, but the cinematography was amazing. It kind of reminded me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas a little bit. It was really about the seedy underworld of Los Angeles, you know, or the West Coast, Southern California, I guess. It took place between Los Angeles and San Francisco. So, you know, there were a lot of scenes in the desert. It was just a really good movie. But I've been seeking out more movies by this actress because for whatever reason, you know, I don't know what it is. There's just something, you know, about her on-screen presence in these movies are so shocking. So I decided to watch another one, right? Last night I watched the one that I was just talking about, Wolf Mother. And I'm not going to get into that movie. You guys can watch that on your own. It's very degenerate. There's like all kinds of degenerate shit in it, but a very interesting film. The movie I want to talk about right now is the movie I watched tonight. All right, because it's Halloween. And honestly, I thought Halloween was last night. I didn't even look at the calendar. I just assumed Halloween was last night, but it was actually tonight. Andrew and I drove around some of the neighborhoods just to like see some of the decorations. There were kids everywhere out in this part of town, trick-or-treating, and we even saw our cousins and you know, their parents and stuff out there trick-or-treating. So shout outs to Shadi and Athena. But yeah, it was very cool just to see all these people celebrating. So I came back and I was like, well, I want to watch another horror movie. Well, you know, I've been watching these Najara Townsend movies for the last couple of days, and I was like, well, let's go ahead and check out The Stylist. All right, The Stylist is extremely disturbing. That's the first thing I'm going to say about it. And I really think you guys, especially if you watch this movie and you watch this video and you're going to be up for a couple hours or whatever, and you want to watch a movie, watch The Stylist. I think it's like about $2 or $3 on Amazon. It's almost like a female version of Sweeney Todd. If you guys remember Sweeney Todd, you remember Johnny Depp and Sweeney Todd. That was one of my family's favorite Johnny Depp movies ever. And it was a musical. My parents were really into musicals. And so this movie kind of reminded me of Sweeney Todd because it's about a hairstylist. But instead of like slitting people's throat and like selling their meat as meat pies with some sort of, you know, cohort, she kills her victims, and then, without spoiling too much, she cuts their scalps and peels their scalps back and then wears their wigs. It wears their hair as a wig. Extremely disturbing, shocking, gory. And the performance from Najara Townsend is especially shocking because she really, I mean, if you saw her in Contracted, like by the end of the movie, she looks so fucked up. And in this movie, she just plays this like deranged, psychopathic, but a character you could have empathy for potentially. Which is the really scary part about it. But she has these wild mood swings, and she's able to sort of blend in these crowds. It's like a hairstylist, but by night she's slaughtering some of her victims, her clients, and cutting their scalps off and then wearing them. I mean, it is some of the goriest, grossest, most shocking shit I have seen ever in a movie. And there's also the idea that she's placating to the demons, but that every time she placates, she's being taken over. Because she starts the movie out by just killing one person, and she feels guilty about it, and then she wears, like, the scalp, and she keeps all of the scalps, which is super creepy. And she sort of has these, like, laughing fits and crying fits, and it's just completely deranged. I'm telling you guys, this movie is completely deranged, and it's completely shocking, and it's the perfect movie to watch on Halloween 2022. I'm just really pumped about it because it's a movie that's going to sort of stick with you. I feel like I'm going to be thinking about some of those scenes and how gory some of those scenes were for the next few days. It'll be hard to shake. It's kind of like in Hereditary. There were some very gory scenes in Hereditary where you know, there's a scene with Charlie and whatever's left of her in the middle of the street and all the bees and the flies. I mean, that was shocking. That's never left me. There's the scene of, you know, the mom, like, scaling walls and running really fast up the stairs and banging her head on the ceiling. I mean, those scenes will never leave you. If you really enjoy horror and you really sit there and watch it and you don't, like, look away, those are the kind of scenes that never leave you. You never forget a movie because of those scenes. And this movie, again, not Wolfmother, but The Stylist, which was made in 2020, by the way. This movie is just completely shocking. So it was made in 2020. It was obviously made during, you know, CV. So praise the Lord, it was made, I guess. You know, I'm having a little bit of a gaffe there, joking around a little bit. But, yeah, I think in horror and in a Halloween, and it's funny, Halloween and horror, they kind of start with the same sound. These are very, like, ancient. The roots of this stuff are very ancient, and they're more ancient than I think we'll ever really understand. You know, even the Catholic Church has All Saints Day and Pray for the Dead Day and All Hallows Eve. You have, you know, Mardi Gras, which comes before Lent, so everybody just, you know, this is where Mardi Gras comes from. People would just sort of express every degeneracy they possibly could right before Lent because they knew they had to fast from all of this, you know, toxic, degenerate shit that just, you know, this is the fallen human state. So I think in a way Halloween maybe represents that. You know, you think about the costumes, you think about some of the adult costumes as well, especially when it comes to females. You know, they can be scantily clad this time of year, and is that a form of placating to demons? Well, you know, the Jonathan from the Symbolic World, he has a whole little rant about this in the video that I'm going to link in the description down below. But what I can say is it was really good to see people out tonight. I mean, there was a ton of house parties, there was a ton of decorations. Another trend I've seen recently, I didn't really notice this 5 or 10 years ago, but people decorate their cars. They put, like, skeletons in the passenger seat, or they put cobwebs all over the tire hanging off the back of their car or whatever. The spiders in the windshield. I've seen some very cool decorations, but I wanted to come on here and just kind of talk a little bit about all of this. I definitely recommend that movie. I mean, I recommend all of the Najara Townsend movies. She's a very interesting character actor, B-movie actor, horror actor, whatever you would classify her as. Very interesting character. Definitely watch those movies, but definitely watch The Stylist if you get a chance anytime soon. And with that, I will leave it there. Happy Halloween. As always, until next time, I'll see you on the next video.